we're going to show you how to put a handle on one of our bowl turning hook tools. So you can make the handles out of a piece of round wood, but for a stronger, better handle, you ideally want to use a piece of cleft timber. So this is out of a much bigger diameter, and we've split it in half, and then we've split off a section so that we've got something that's about 1.5 inches across the top there. Lengthwise, you're looking at about 18 inches, something like that for your handle. Try and choose something that's relatively straight grained with as few as knots as possible. So what we're going to do is we're going to start removing some of those sides to start with the axe. So when you're using the axe, always try and hold it relatively close to the head so you get lots of control. And we're going to work up the corner in a series of nicks just to loosen the fibres. If you try and slice it all off in one go, you'll find that the axe will stick in and it will be very awkward. Once you've done the series of nicks about 2/3 of the way up, slice down and you'll remove those little chunks of timber. Once you've done that side, turn it over and you can do the other end quite easily. So that's the one corner done. Then I tend to turn it around and do the other corner. And then I'll take a little bit off that internal face just to keep it nice and straight. So once you're happy with the axe work, we can then get onto the shave horse to refine the shape. So what we should have created now by removing those corners is a hexagon. We should have 6 sides. And ideally what we try and do is we try and make each side roughly the same width. That helps us to keep it nice and straight and nice and regular. I find if you try and make it into a circle straight away, you'll end up with nothing but trouble. So we're going to refine those definite sides using the shave horse and the draw knife. Now, we clamp it into the shave horse with our feet, so effectively when we push with our feet, those jaws hold that piece of wood nice and firm. With the draw knife, you've got 2 definite bevels to a draw knife. You've got this top bevel, which is very short, and then you've got this long flat back side. Now, in order to get a nice long smooth cut, we want to make sure that we use the flat side down, the bevel side up. Grip it onto the end of our handle, and we want to try and work well beyond the halfway mark and make nice long cuts. Also, when we draw it towards us, we're not just going to pull straight, we're actually going to saw slightly across the blade to increase that slicing angle. Get nice long smooth shavings. So after a few slices on each side, just keep rotating it. Keep an eye on how wide each face is getting. Like I say, you want to try and make sure that each side is roughly the same width. And keep an eye on it and make sure that it's not getting too wobbly. So once you've done one end, you can turn it around and we can continue those same faces right through to the other end of our handle. So once you're happy that we've got the size and the shape down, we've took off all the rough edges, we've still got these definite corners, these sharp edges which we want to take off. So carefully hold it on the edge and just a small little slice with the draw knife will take off that sharp corner. So work on each corner and then eventually we'll turn it around and we'll do the same the other end. Basically feel it with your hand, and if there's anything that digs into you, that's the bit that needs to come off. The only part that we can't really get to easily with the draw knife, and we need to do before we drill the hole in it, is to chamfer this top edge. Now the easiest way to do that is actually to do that with our knife. So when you're using a knife to chamfer the end of a rung or a handle like this, you can either cut away from you using your thumb to push, or I prefer to pull the blade towards me. Now, a lot of people will have a tendency to cut into their thumb. Now that's not good. So keep that thumb tucked well out the way and then draw the knife towards you. Always making sure that you're not going to cut into your thumb. So a nice little chamfer all the way around, and then the same the other end. And once you've done that, we can then take it over to the workbench where we will start to hold it in the vise. So when you're positioning your handle into the vise, make sure that you hold it nice and straight. So using a square, you can just make sure that you're holding it nice and vertical. Now the shaft of the hook tools is 13mm in diameter, and we don't forge a very complicated tang on there. We leave it nice and round with just a chamfer. So the hole that we can drill in our handle is 13mm. So you can either use an auger or you can use a twist drill. Ideally in a cordless drill, or even a hand drill if that's what you've got. But in order to make sure that we drill our hole nice and straight to our handle, it's very important that we make sure that we drill straight. So using your square again, I would suggest that you position either a mirror so that you can make sure that you're drilling square, or get your friend to help sight you. So make sure you position the drill right in the centre of your handle, and then resting the drill against your body so that it locks it in place. Start to drill into the handle. Take your time, and after a few turns make sure that you're nice and square in both directions. Depth wise, you want to go about 3 or 4 inches into the handle. It's quite important that you make sure that you clear all the debris out of the hole. So ideally keep drilling forward as you withdraw it. So now what we've got to do is we've actually got to fit the handle to the hook tool. So you ideally need something like an anvil or a heavy chopping block, because we're going to knock the handle on by hitting it on the butt end of it. So start off, get your hook tool, position it at the start of your hole, and just make sure that if you have got any slight bend in it, that you can just straighten it out by looking down it like so. Now it's entirely up to you. You can mark onto the shaft of your hook tool the depth of your hole, or you can just keep your ears peeled for the sound change. As I start knocking it on, you'll find that when I get to the bottom of the hole, it'll make a very dead sound. Just like that. Now, these handles aren't absolutely bone dry, they're actually quite wet, so when that starts to dry out, that hole will actually shrink and grip the shaft of my hook tool, so therefore it was never going to come off. If you find that you're using semi-dry wood, or you haven't got access to green wood, you can do the same process and maybe just put a bit of super glue or a bit of epoxy resin on there, and that will glue that handle on really nice and tightly. So in a few days time to about a week, when this handle starts to dry out, it's a good idea to give it a coating of oil just to protect it. I use food grade linseed oil on the bowls that we make, so I tend to use that on the handles as well. So hopefully you found that useful, and if you want to see more videos like this, then subscribe to our channel.